It's more of just the social media, just backlash that we're not we're getting, but MVP is getting, the Bellator is getting. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about people and what they're criticizing MVP's opponents. They're criticizing MVP and what he does. But let's be real. My first take is this: he was supposed to fight Derek Anderson.
Yeah.
The fight was Derek got hurt, and his last minute replacement was Melilo. When Melilo came, like. This is the guy that was kind of, we could bring over. He had a good record. I believe he was 13-2. I mean, it wasn't like he was he wasn't a bum. The thing is MVP's supposed to be doing what he's supposed to be doing this to these guys, and when you get last minute replacement guys, they're not in shape, and they haven't had time to game plan for somebody like him, Melilo and I'm not trying to knock Paul Daly, but Melilo probably would have had a better performance against someone like Paul Daly, who's a straightforward fighter, not a whole lot of movement, just wants to throw down. I'm not saying he would have got any further than he did with MVP, but I'm simply saying that it's a traditional style of fighting is Paul Daly versus MVP is not. And when I did the fighter interviews and Melilo turns to me and goes, "Yeah, I'm going to figure him out when I'm in there." I shook my head. I was like,
you just should have looked at it and said, "That's a great idea."
I didn't even know what to say. I had no clue what to say. I was like, wow, this is not. I was in my mind. I'm like, this is not going to go well. This is not.
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I just look. I've sparred and trained with a guy that is just phenomenal for years. I just had a rough time. Actually getting when he got in the cage of performing, but in the gym. He reminded me a lot of like how Vitor Belfort, people talked about Vitor Belfort taking Luke Rockhold down. He's taken, DC, Dan Cormier down. Like we're talking 155-pounder and Thomas Dion. Just a phenomenal kickboxer. But when the bright lights turn on, he had a hard time. MVP doesn't have that problem. But the thing is when you're trying to game plan or deal with somebody that is that good, so fast, so quick, it doesn't matter what level you are, they're always hard to deal with. And you see it with the top guys that fight Stephen Thompson. Same shit.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give you some comparisons. And Bobby Razak is a friend of mine. And Bobby's from England. Bobby's a great guy. Yep. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Does incredible film, documentaries and everything. Mm-hmm. And he put a tweet out, and I love Bobby, and he put a tweet out saying, I'm really getting disappointed with who they're giving, MVP. And I'm like, Bobby, what do you want? He had a tough fighter in Derek Anderson, and Derek Anderson is a tough fighter. Derek Anderson is a guy, 16-3, we'll say, is a record. So very comparable to, MVP coming into that fight. He's been submitted or stopped in a fight one time. That was against Marcin Held, who submits everybody, if he's going to get a win. So he submitted Derek Anderson. Other than that, his other two losses are by decision. Split decision to Campos, I think, or unanimous to Campos and split in another one. Beat Patricky Pitbull twice. And is of the size now that he needs to move up to the 170-pound. That would have been a very good opponent. You got to look and say, MVP has been moving up in the people they put him in. They put him into the tournament. He beats Paul Daly. He loses to Douglas Lima. All right. Mm-hmm. So when he's coming into this fight, he's at what? 15-1, right? 15-1. So there's 16 fights there, 17 fights, we'll say it's since he won the fight. I want to go back and I want you to think of Anderson Silva is similar to MVP. So let's take a look at Anderson Silva's first 17 fights. The records, if you look at everything, the record for Anderson Silva as far as his record at the time was 14-3 at 17 fights. All right. His opponent's combined records, 155 wins, 60 losses, and 11 draws. But if you take one fighter out of that, being Jeremy Horn, who at the time that he fought Anderson Silva was 70-12. Okay, 70-12-5. So at the time that he fought Anderson, that's a whole lot of wins you're putting into that. So if you take him out, Anderson Silva 85, 48, and 6 was the combined record of the people he had fought at the time that he got to 17 fights. MVP right now, 211, 92, and 2. So comparatively, is the experience level of the people he's fighting better than what you got with Anderson Silva? Or even comparable if you put Jeremy Horn back in the mix? Yeah, it is. They've been giving him people. Anderson Silva had 5 people that had losing records when he fought them. 5. MVP has had 1 person have a losing record. It was his second fight as a pro in mixed martial arts. So you can take a look, and comparatively, it's hard to find people at a certain point that want to fight that guy.
Yeah.
And that's your problem for Bellator is you can look and say, are there matchups you can put him against? Yeah, and there's a matchup that I think is one that, you could put him in a couple of ways. You can put him against a Neiman Gracie, but Neiman is fighting here coming up in Hawaii. Or there's a guy named Logan Storley who's 11-0 right now. Great wrestling. Has looked phenomenal. I would love to see Logan Storley and MVP. You can't just you can't put him right back against Douglas Lima. That doesn't make sense.
No, I got you.
It just doesn't. If you want to give Paul Daly that bump and say, "Oh, you want to try him again?" I think that's okay. You could put him in against Paul Daly again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the same as it was the first time. I think it's going to be a lot different. But I don't think it's going to go Daly's way. Now, I could be wrong, but it's figuring things out and looking. Paul Daly came in with a great game plan that MVP was not prepared for.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen the second time. So that means that you're going to get into that stand-up battle with him now, or you're going to try to bring that wrestling game plan back out and see if it'll work. You've got to look and understand when you've got a guy like Michael Venom Page, he's different. And he's someone that when you have a fighter pull out, you're not going to find a good fighter that is going to want to go on a week and a half's notice and face that guy when they go, I have had no opportunity to prepare for what he does.
Yeah.
So, Bellator did what it could. I don't care if it's Bellator or the UFC. I've seen the UFC do the same thing, and people complain. It's like, what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is they offered this guy a fight. His opponent fell out, and they're trying to find him somebody now that they know is not as good as the opponent they had in the beginning, but it's all they can come up with because no one wants to take that fight. That opportunity doesn't look so great.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take a look at Khabib and Ali Quinta, and how that fight came about. Remember how the injury happened, and here you are now, and that the promotion's stuck in a shitty situation.
Oh, totally.
They're doing the best they can. I believe Malilo was like 13-2, so he has a winning record. It wasn't, obviously some of the people he's fought, we don't know. We don't know who they are. Like the European market is being freshly tapped into, and that's what we're doing. Like as Bellator's trying to get their their hands in there and get a hold of all these untapped talented guys. And no one's going to want to turn around and fight MVP. It's like, it would be no different if someone threw somebody out to say, hey, T Wood's hurt. He can't fight Stephen Thompson. Everyone's going to go, Stephen Thompson's like the hardest guy to fight. Like, it just really, you have to prepare for him a little bit, or at least have some, you cannot figure.
He's different.
Malilo said it. I'm going to figure it out when I'm in there. And you saw what happened to him. And other fighters know you cannot. Talented top guys, they're going to register in their head like, I cannot figure that guy out in 1 week.
How many guys would be happy, do you think? Or I know they wouldn't take it, but let's take a 170-pound fight, and you are preparing for somebody, and then they say, hey, Josh, you know what? That guy's out. We're going to give you Ray Daniels, and you got a week.
No thanks.
Exactly, and you're the guy that's in the main position. And you look and you go, I am not going to fight a guy like that when I don't have time to prepare for him.
Yeah, not the guy that did the guy that did the 920 and then knocked the guy out with the punch. No,
that's Ray Daniels.
I'm done with no thanks, bud.
Raymond Daniels, if you have not tried to prepare for what he does, you are in deep trouble. And that's what's going to happen when you have, someone pull out of a fight with MVP. It's hard to get that replacement.
Yeah, for me, I felt like Derek Anderson was the perfect step up in competition that he needed for that next level. And then once you got past Derek Anderson, you really were just going to, after that, it was like there was nothing else. You have Neiman Gracie, you've got John Fitch, you brought up somebody else. Who was the other name?
Logan Storley.
Logan Storley.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
That's another one. So you have those three guys. I would like to see Neiman Gracie and Logan Storley fight, because now you have somebody like Neiman Gracie who's going to utilize or make Logan Storley stand a little bit more. Because on top, you never know. You never know. It'd be kind of foolish to go down to the ground with Neiman Gracie in the beginning of a fight, knowing that you're dry. As the fight goes on, I can see you getting away with it. But look, another fight to possibly make. As far as what people are thinking, as far as MVP, I would like to see him fight Derek Anderson. I want to see that fight happen. I think the length, the range, the size of Derek Anderson is huge. People don't realize how big Derek Anderson is. He's big, man.
He's a lightweight. I had someone on Twitter tell me, John, you used to tell the truth, and now you're shilling. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I'm talking about a guy that he's lost 3 fights in his career. He's still young, and he is a monster to everybody.
Yeah. He had issues making weight at 55 a couple times. And when he didn't make the weight, we got to revert back to that and say, hey, he had a hard time making the weight back then. Now he's trying to go to 170. I think 170 is going to be a better place for him. I also feel the same way about Asad Awad. That's another thing. Maybe you put Asad Awad against MVP after a win or two. That's another guy. I think his fight's a lot better at 170. So that's just my 2 cents.
I would like to see Rory MacDonald. Put Rory MacDonald and MVP together. You want to see a fight? Hello. Rory already fought someone similar in Stephen Thompson and didn't have the best results. He did everything he could, tried Imanari rolls, everything, couldn't get him down. Maybe this time with MVP it would be a different story.
That's a good idea. I'd like to see that fight as well.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. I didn't even think about the MVP situation and scenario.